The mall was loud that Saturday afternoon. Music from a nearby store filled the air. Kids were running around. Couples were walking slowly, holding shopping bags and looking at each other like the world outside did not exist. It was the kind of normal, peaceful scene that Levi Shan had always liked, but right now, Levi could not enjoy any of it, because 30 feet away, standing in front of a coffee shop with a tall iced drink in his hand, was Daniel, his ex. His very recent, very painful, very much, please do not let him see me, ex-boyfriend. Levi ducked behind a display of sunglasses near the entrance of an accessories store. His heart was already racing. Daniel had not seen him yet. He was talking to someone, laughing about something, looking as comfortable and unbothered as ever. Of course he looked fine. Daniel always looked fine, even when he had broken Levi's heart 4 weeks ago with a simple, "I think we should stop." He had looked completely fine doing it. Levi pressed himself against the rack of sunglasses and looked left, looked right. He needed to move. If he stayed still, Daniel would eventually turn around and see him. And then there would be that awkward smile, that polite wave, maybe even a short conversation full of "how are you" and "you look good," and Levi would want to disappear into the floor. He was not ready for that, not today. Not wearing this old hoodie, he needed to move. Now, Levi turned sharply to his left, reached out, and grabbed the nearest arm he could find. "Hey, sorry, please, just for a second, pretend you know me," he whispered urgently, pulling the arm toward him and angling his body so Daniel could not see his face clearly. "My ex is right there. I just need 30 seconds, please." There was a pause, a very still, very cold pause. Levi slowly looked up. The man whose arm he had grabbed was not just any man. He was tall, well over 6 feet. He was wearing a dark fitted shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows, and dark trousers that looked expensive. His hair was black and slightly messy in a way that did not look accidental. His face was sharp, defined jaw, straight nose, dark eyes that were currently looking down at Levi with an expression that was completely unreadable. He was the kind of person who made a room go quiet just by walking into it, and right now, that quiet, unreadable face was staring directly at Levi. Behind him, two men in identical black jackets stood a few steps back, watching, not shopping. Not talking, just watching like guards. Levi's mouth went dry. 30 seconds, the man said. His voice was low and calm, not warm, not cold, just measured, like every word he said cost something and he chose carefully. "Thank you." Levi breathed. He turned slightly, using the man's arm as cover, and peeked around. Daniel was still talking, still not looking. 20 seconds passed. Then Daniel's companion pointed toward another part of the mall and they both walked away. Just like that, Levi let out the longest breath of his life. "Okay." He slowly released the man's arm. "Okay, he's gone. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to just grab you like that. That was really weird of me. I'm sorry." The man looked at his own arm where Levi had gripped it. Then he looked at Levi. "You're bleeding," he said. Levi blinked. He looked down at his hand. There was a small cut on his palm, probably from the edge of the sunglasses rack when he had spun around. He hadn't even noticed. "Oh, I barely feel it," Levi said. The man reached into his pocket and held out a folded handkerchief. White. "Clean, monogrammed with the initials RK. Use this," he said. Levi stared at it. "I can't take your handkerchief." "You already grabbed my arm in a public place," the man said. "The handkerchief is smaller." Levi blinked, and then, despite everything, he almost laughed. He took the handkerchief and pressed it against his palm. "Thank you, really. I'll wash this and return it if you tell me. Don't worry about it." The man turned to walk away. One of the two black jacket men stepped forward immediately, falling into place beside him. The other followed on the opposite side. Levi stood there with a white handkerchief pressed to his hand, watching them go. He didn't know this man. He didn't even know his name, only the initials on the cloth. RK, he should have let it end there. He should have walked the other way, bought himself a coffee, gone home, and told his friend Carrie about the weird but ultimately harmless thing that had happened. He should have. But as the man disappeared around the corner, Levi felt something strange in his chest. Not attraction, not yet, just a pull, a small, stubborn pull, like a thread connecting him to something he hadn't seen yet. He looked down at the handkerchief in his hand. "RK. Who are you?" he whispered to no one. Levi did not mean to end up in the same restaurant. He truly did not plan it. After the mall incident, he had walked around for another hour, trying to shake the strange feeling in his chest. He texted Carrie, his best friend since university, and Carrie had immediately replied with "tell me everything" followed by 7 question marks. Levi typed back. "I grabbed a stranger's hand to hide from Daniel." Carrie replied, "Did you at least grab an attractive stranger?" Levi stared at his phone, put it face down, did not answer that. He found a small Italian restaurant 3 blocks from the mall, one of those cozy places with candles on every table and soft background music. He had eaten there before. He liked it. He went in, got a small corner table, and ordered pasta and sparkling water. He was halfway through his meal when he heard the door open. He did not look up right away. But then the entire energy of the small restaurant shifted, quiet and slightly alert, and Levi looked up. The man from the mall walked in. He was still in the same dark shirt. He spoke briefly to the host, who nodded quickly with wide eyes and moved toward the back of the restaurant, clearly directing him to a private section. But before he turned, his gaze swept the restaurant. It landed on Levi. There was a moment, just a brief, clear moment, where both of them registered the coincidence. Then the man's expression shifted, barely, only slightly, and he walked toward Levi's table instead of following the host. Levi sat up straight. "You," the man said. "Me," Levi agreed. "Are you following me?" "No," Levi said immediately. "I was here first. You can check the time I ordered." A pause. The man looked at the table, looked at Levi's half-eaten pasta, looked at him. "Roman," the man said. Levi blinked. "What, my name?" "Roman Kale." Levi opened his mouth, closed it. "Oh, I'm Levi, Levi Shan." Roman Kale looked at him for a long moment. His eyes were very dark, not black, but the kind of deep brown that looked black in certain light. He had a calm about him that was not relaxed. It was controlled, like a very still river that was running very fast underneath. "Your hand," he said. Levi looked down. He still had the handkerchief wrapped loosely around his palm. "It stopped bleeding. I was going to wash it tonight and find a way to return it." "Keep it." "I can't keep your handkerchief, Mr. Kale." Roman, Levi said, and it felt strange in his mouth, familiar and too large at the same time. Like a name that meant something he didn't know yet. Roman looked at the empty seat across from Levi. Then he looked at Levi. "I'll join you." It was not a question. Levi opened his mouth to say something, maybe to point out that normal people asked before sitting down, but Roman had already pulled the chair out, already told the host with a brief nod to bring a new place setting. Already settled into the seat like he belonged there, like he belonged anywhere he decided to sit. "Okay," Levi said, mostly to himself. They sat. It was not comfortable. It was not uncomfortable. It was strange, two strangers across a small candlelit table in an Italian restaurant, one of them acting like this was completely normal, and one of them absolutely unsure what was happening. The food came. Roman ordered simply, grilled fish. "No starter, still water. Do you always sit down at strangers' tables?" Levi asked. "No," Roman said. "Then why? You interest me," Roman said with no drama and no smile, just a fact. Levi stared at him. "I grabbed your arm in a mall and ran away from my ex. That interests you." "You were not afraid," Roman said. "Most people who accidentally touch me pull away very fast." Levi thought about this. Why would people be afraid of you? Roman looked at him for a long moment. "What do you do, Levi Shan?" That was a subject change. "Yes," Levi almost smiled. He picked up his fork. "I'm a graphic designer, freelance. I work from home mostly." He tilted his head. "You, business." Roman said, "What kind?" "Many kinds." Levi raised an eyebrow. "That's very vague." Roman looked at him again with that steady, unreadable gaze, and for just a half second, barely anything, the corner of his mouth moved, not quite a smile. Not quite, not a smile. "Yes," he said, "it is." They ate. They talked, not deeply, not the way old friends talked, but in short, clean exchanges that had no wasted words. Roman asked about Levi's work. Levi asked about Roman's travels. Roman said he had been to 12 countries in the last year. Levi said the farthest he had been was a design conference in Tokyo. When the meal ended, Roman reached for the bill before Levi could. "You don't have to," Levi started. "I know." Roman said outside the restaurant the night air was cool. 2 black cars were parked near the entrance. The same 2 men from before were standing by them. Levi had not seen them come in, which meant they had been outside waiting the whole time. For Roman, something about that made Levi's brain pause. He had just had dinner with someone who had personal guards who waited outside. That was not normal. "Can I drive you somewhere?" Roman asked. "I'll take the subway," Levi said. "I'm fine." "Thank you for dinner and for before in the mall." Roman studied him. "Are you always this polite to strangers? Are you always this mysterious?" Levi shot back. This time Roman did smile, small, brief, like sunlight through a crack. "But it was real. I'll see you, Levi Shan," he said. Then he got in the car. Levi stood on the pavement and watched the car pull away. His heart was doing something strange, not pounding, not rushing, just beating a little louder than before. He pulled out his phone and texted Carrie. "I think I just had dinner with him." Carrie's reply came in 4 seconds. "With the stranger, Levi Shan, I swear." Levi smiled and started walking toward the subway. He had no idea that the man whose handkerchief was still wrapped around his hand ran half the city's underworld. He had no idea at all. Carrie Park was the kind of friend who was either your greatest blessing or your greatest danger, depending on the situation. When Levi arrived at Carrie's apartment the next morning, drawn there by a chain of texts that escalated from "tell me everything" to "I found something, get here now," he found Carrie sitting at his desk with 3 browser tabs open. A printed photograph and the energy of someone who had not slept. "Sit down," Carrie said, pointing at the couch. Levi sat. "Why do you look like you've been awake for a year?" "Because I have information." Carrie spun his chair around and held up the printed photograph. "Is this him, Roman Cale?" Levi looked at the photo. It was from some business magazine, a brief article about a property acquisition. The photo was small and slightly blurry. But it was him, same dark eyes, same sharp jaw, same controlled stillness even in a still photograph. "Yes," Levi said slowly. "Where did you—" "I searched his name," Carrie said. "Levi, Roman Cale is not just a businessman." "I know he said many kinds of business, which was already suspicious. He is the Cale," Carrie said. "As in Cale Group, as in the family that owns 30% of commercial real estate in this city. As in, and I need you to listen carefully, the family that people in certain circles call the Alpha." Levi stared at him. "The what?" "The Alpha, as in the top, as in the head of one of the most powerful organized networks in the region." Carrie set down the paper. "Levi, he's a mafia boss." Silence. The apartment was very quiet. "No," Levi said. "Yes," Carrie said. "He ate grilled fish," Levi said, "in a restaurant, like a normal person." "Normal people don't have 2 bodyguards waiting outside." Levi opened his mouth, closed it, thought about the 2 men in identical black jackets who had never come inside the restaurant. Thought about how the host's eyes had gone wide when Roman walked in. Thought about the way every single person in that restaurant had become a little more alert, a little more careful just from his presence. "Okay," Levi said quietly. "Okay. Maybe there is something, there is very much something," Carrie said. "There are rumors, not in newspapers, obviously, but in certain communities, that the Cale family runs operations across 3 cities. That Roman Cale took over from his father 5 years ago when he was 26. That he is known for being," Carrie looked at his notes, "extremely precise and very cold, and that people who try to cross him tend to have very bad luck." Levi sat back on the couch and looked at the ceiling. "I had dinner with him," he said. "I know. He paid for dinner. I know. He smiled at me." Carrie paused. "He smiled, a little." Carrie slowly sat back in his chair. "Levi. Roman Cale is not known for smiling." They stared at each other. "Maybe it was a different Roman Cale," Levi offered. "There is no other Roman Cale. Maybe the smiling thing is wrong. Maybe you should stay very far away from this man." Carrie said firmly, "Levi, I'm serious. This is not a romance novel. This is real life. People like this are dangerous." Levi nodded. He knew Carrie was right. He completely knew it. The logical part of his brain, the careful, sensible. "You just got your heart broken 4 weeks ago and you do not need complications" part fully agreed. "Right," he said. "I'll just not see him again. It was one dinner. I don't even have his number." Carrie looked relieved. "Good, yes. Forget the handkerchief, forget them all, forget the dinner." Levi nodded. He absolutely intended to do exactly that. The following Wednesday, Levi was in his favorite cafe, the small one near his apartment with the corner window seat that he always used for client work. He had his laptop open, his coffee cooling beside him, and a logo project on the screen that was almost finished. The cafe door opened. He did not look up. "Your usual cafe." Levi looked up. Roman Cale was standing at the entrance looking at him. "How do you know this is my usual cafe?" Levi asked. "I didn't," Roman said simply. "I came in for coffee." He walked to the counter, ordered, and then, because apparently this was just something Roman Cale did, he walked over and sat down across from Levi without asking. Levi looked at him. "You know. Most people check if someone wants company before sitting. You haven't told me to leave." Levi opened his mouth, closed it. Roman was right. He hadn't. He should have. He didn't. "My friend researched you," Levi said instead. Watching Roman's face carefully, not a flicker, and she found some things. "I see," Roman said. He picked up his coffee when it came. He didn't elaborate. He didn't explain or deny or offer any reaction at all. He just sat there, calm and steady, and waited. "You're not going to say anything?" Levi asked. "What would you like me to say?" Levi leaned forward slightly. "Are the things she found true?" Roman looked at him directly. "Some of them are probably exaggerated." He said. "Some are not." A pause. "That's very honest," Levi said. "I don't lie to people who are not afraid of me," Roman said. "It seems wasteful." Levi studied him. His heart was doing the loud beating thing again. "You shouldn't come find me." He said. "This is too complicated." "I didn't come find you," Roman said. "I came for coffee." Roman, Levi. It was the first time Roman had said his name like that, straightforward, like it was familiar, like he had been saying it for years. Levi felt it land somewhere in his chest and just stay there. This is a bad idea, Levi said quietly. Roman looked at him. Probably, he agreed. Neither of them moved, outside the cafe window. The city kept moving, busy and loud, and completely unaware that in a small corner seat, something that should not have started was very much starting anyway. 3 weeks, in 3 weeks. Levi had somehow developed a routine with Roman Kale that neither of them had planned or discussed. Tuesday mornings, the cafe. Roman would arrive 20 minutes after Levi, order black coffee, sit across from him, and work from his phone while Levi worked on his laptop. They did not talk the entire time. It was comfortable in a way that made no logical sense. Friday evenings, Roman would send a text, always short, always a question. Always something like, "Are you free?" And they would end up somewhere, a restaurant, a walk along the river. Once, a small bookshop where Roman spent 20 minutes reading the back of a novel, and Levi watched him without meaning to, and then looked away very fast. They had not talked about what it was. They had not labeled it. Levi told himself it was just an unusual friendship. Carrie told him that no one looks at a friend the way he described looking at Roman. Levi did not respond to that. The complication arrived on a Friday evening in the fourth week. Levi was walking to meet Roman. They were trying a new restaurant near the city center when he heard his name from behind. He turned. Daniel. Of all the streets in the city, of all the Friday evenings, Daniel was standing right there, hands in his jacket pockets, looking at Levi with an expression that was soft and a little careful. "Hey," Daniel said, "I thought that was you." Levi stood still. His chest felt tight but not painful, less painful than he expected, actually. "Hey, you look good," Daniel said. "Thanks." A pause. Daniel looked at the restaurant direction Levi was walking. "Are you meeting someone?" "Yes." Levi said simply. Daniel nodded slowly. "A friend." Levi thought about how to answer that. He thought about Tuesday mornings and Friday evenings and the way Roman said his name. "Yes," he said. Daniel looked at him for a moment. His expression was doing something complicated, not quite regret, not quite jealousy, but something in that space. "I've been thinking about calling you," he said. "I've been thinking I made a mistake." Levi looked at him. 4 weeks ago. Those words would have cracked him open. He had spent the first week after the breakup replaying every conversation, wondering what he had done wrong, wondering if Daniel would come back. He had wanted it very much, right now, standing here. He felt something simpler, tired, not angry, not hurt, just done. "Daniel," he said carefully, "I think we both know it was not a mistake." Daniel blinked. "Levi, we were not good together at the end, you know that." Levi kept his voice even. "I'm glad I ran into you, but I have somewhere to be." He turned and kept walking. He was halfway down the block when he heard Daniel call his name once more. He did not turn back. When he arrived at the restaurant, Roman was already there, standing outside, which he sometimes did when he arrived first, like waiting inside felt too contained. He looked at Levi as he approached, and something in his expression sharpened. "You're 3 minutes late," Roman said. "You're never late. I ran into someone," Levi said. Roman studied his face. "Your ex." It was not a question. Levi raised an eyebrow. "How did you? Your jaw does this thing," Roman said. "When something bothers you but you're trying not to show it." Levi stared at him. "You've been watching my jaw." Roman did not answer that. He just held the restaurant door open. Levi walked through it, and as he passed, Roman's hand briefly touched the small of his back, not gripping, just there, a contact so light it might have been accidental. It was not accidental. Levi's heart beat loudly. Inside, over dinner, Levi looked at Roman across the table and said, "He said he thinks he made a mistake, breaking up with me." Roman's expression did not change. He cut into his food. "What did you say?" "I said we both know it wasn't." Roman was quiet for a moment, then, "Good, just that, just good." But the way he said it, low, certain, like a door being closed, made Levi's breath catch. "Roman," Levi said slowly. "Yes, what is this?" Roman looked up at him. A real look, direct, open in the way that Roman rarely was. "You know what it is." He said, "Say it," Levi said. Roman set down his fork. He looked at Levi across the candlelit table with those dark eyes that missed nothing and said nothing easily. "I would like you to be mine," he said, "if you want that." The restaurant was full and loud around them. No one was listening. Levi's heart was doing something it had not done in a very long time, not the anxious racing kind of beating, but something warmer, deeper. "That's a lot to say to a person you've known for a month," Levi said. "I know," Roman said. "Do you want it?" Levi looked at him for a long moment. "Ask me again in a week," Levi said. Roman's mouth moved, that small almost smile. "All right." He said. They finished dinner. They walked to the river afterward, the city lights reflecting off the water, and Levi noticed that for the first time, Roman walked close enough that their arms touched. Neither of them moved away. The week passed. Roman did not ask again. He had said he would, and Levi believed him, but Roman was not the kind of person who rushed things. He was the kind of person who placed his words carefully and then waited. What he did do was show up. Tuesday Cafe. As always, but this time when their drinks came, Roman slid a small folded paper across the table to Levi. No explanation. Levi unfolded it. It was a printed receipt for a gallery opening, an art and design exhibition downtown, tomorrow evening. You thought I'd like this, Levi asked. Your work has that quality, Roman said, looking at his phone. Lines that look simple but are not. Levi stared at the receipt for a long moment, then at Roman, who was still looking at his phone as if he had said nothing. He said yes, of course he said yes. The gallery was beautiful. Levi moved through the exhibit slowly, talking about the design choices, the color theory, the way certain artists balanced negative space. Roman walked beside him and listened, not politely, not pretending, but with genuine attention, asking questions that showed he was actually processing what Levi said. You're not bored. Levi said at one point, genuinely surprised, I told you, you interest me. Even when I'm talking about kerning for 10 minutes. I didn't know what kerning was before tonight, Roman said. Now I do. Levi laughed, fully really laughed. And Roman looked at him when he did that look again, the one that felt like being seen completely. It was a perfect evening, which is why what happened at the end felt so sharp. They were leaving the gallery when Levi's phone buzzed. A number he did not recognize, he answered it automatically. Is this Levi Shan? Yes, who? You should be careful about who you spend your evenings with. The voice was flat and low. Roman Kale destroys everything he gets close to. This is a warning, not a threat, a warning. The line went dead. Levi stood on the pavement outside the gallery, phone still pressed to his ear, feeling cold. Roman turned back. Levi lowered his phone. He looked at Roman, and for the first time since meeting him, he felt something close to fear, not of Roman exactly, but of what surrounded him. Someone just called me, Levi said carefully. A stranger, warning me about you. Roman's expression went very still, not the calm stillness of usual, something harder and more alert. What number? Levi showed him. Roman looked at it, said nothing, and then glanced briefly at the bodyguard near the car, a small, precise movement of his chin. The man nodded and stepped away with his phone. Roman, Levi said. You're not in danger, Roman said immediately. His voice was steady and very direct. That call was meant to scare you away from me. Not to threaten you, there are people who would benefit from me being alone. That doesn't make this normal, Levi said. No, Roman agreed. It doesn't. They stood facing each other on the pavement. The night air was cool. The gallery lights glowed behind them. Tell me the truth, Levi said. All of it, not many kinds of business. The real truth. A pause. Roman looked at him long and careful. Then he said, not here. Then where? My place tomorrow. If you want to know, I'll tell you. His eyes did not move from Levi's face. But I need you to decide first. Do you want to know? Because once you do, you can't go back to not knowing. Levi felt the weight of the question. He looked at Roman's face, the careful control, the steadiness, and underneath it, just barely visible, something that looked very much like he actually cared what Levi chose. I'll be there, Levi said, the next evening. Roman's apartment was not what Levi had imagined. It was large but not showy, clean, minimal, with real books on the shelves and low warm lighting. It felt lived in. Real. They sat in the main room, no guards inside, just the two of them. Roman told him not everything. Levi understood that, but enough. The Kale family's history. How his father built something that crossed legal lines 30 years ago, and how Roman had inherited it at 26 with the choice to walk away or hold it together, how he chose to hold it together because 300 people depended on the organization's legitimate branches for their jobs. How he had spent the last 5 years trying to pull the operation further into legal ground, quietly. Carefully making enemies on both sides, he spoke without excuse, without drama, just facts delivered steadily, as if this was information Levi deserved and not something Roman was hoping to be forgiven for. When he finished, the room was quiet. Are people actually hurt, Levi asked, by what your organization does? In the past, yes, Roman said. I've tried to change that, not fully yet. Not fully yet, Levi repeated. No, Roman did not soften it. I will not lie to you about that. Levi looked at his hands. This is genuinely complicated. Yes, I'm a graphic designer, Roman. I do logos and brand identities. My biggest problem this week was a client who wanted her font in the wrong color. I know. I'm not built for this world. I know that too, Roman said. His voice was quiet. That's what I want, something outside of it. I don't want to pull you into it. He stopped. He looked at Levi. I want somewhere to come back to. Levi looked at him, the controlled, careful, complicated man across from him, who had told him the truth without being asked to simplify it, who paid attention to kerning because Levi liked it, who gave strangers his handkerchief. This was a terrible idea. Ask me again, Levi said. Roman looked at him. The week is up, he said quietly. Levi Shan, will you be mine? Levi breathed in, breathed out. Yes, he said. Being Roman Kales was not what Levi had expected. He had expected intensity. He had expected Roman sweeping into his life and rearranging it, the way powerful people apparently did. He had expected complexity and pressure. What he got instead was Sunday mornings. Roman started appearing at Levi's apartment on Sunday mornings with coffee from the good place 2 blocks over and a bag from the bakery next to it. He would let himself in. Levi had given him a key without entirely planning to, and he would set the coffee and pastries on the counter and read something on his phone while Levi woke up properly. It was domestic in a way that made Levi's heart feel full and strange at the same time. They were careful. Roman never brought work into Levi's space. Levi never asked questions he knew Roman couldn't answer. They had their Tuesday cafes and Friday evenings and Sunday mornings, and in between there were texts, short ones, Roman style, that said things like "eat before your late meeting," and "the design you sent me looks good," and once. At 11 at night, just Levi's name followed by a question mark. Levi had replied, "Fine, just tired," and 30 minutes later, Roman was at his door with takeout. He didn't knock, he just came. Levi leaned against the doorframe and looked at him. "I didn't invite you over. You said you were tired," Roman said. "That's not an invitation." "No," Roman agreed. He held up the takeout. "This is." Levi moved aside to let him in. Daniel appeared again, as Daniel tended to do. He texted Levi one evening, politely, carefully, asking if they could talk. Levi sat with the text for 10 minutes, then replied, "There's nothing to talk about. I'm happy. I hope you are too." He turned off his phone, looked across the couch at Roman, who was reading, and felt the truth of what he had just typed settle into his bones. He was happy. The twist came on a quiet Wednesday. Levi was working at home when Roman texted him, which was not unusual, but the text was different. It said only, "Don't come to the cafe tomorrow. I'll explain later." Then nothing, all day nothing. Levi told himself not to worry. He told himself this was part of it. Roman had a world that moved in ways Levi couldn't always see. He focused on a project. He made dinner. He went to bed at 2 in the morning. His phone rang, Roman's name on the screen. He answered immediately. "Are you all right?" Levi asked, a brief pause. "Yes." Roman's voice was even but slightly tighter than usual. "Someone went to your cafe today, looking for information about you." "I handled it." Levi sat up in bed. "Who?" "Someone from a rival group. They know you're connected to me." Another pause. "I need you to stay home tomorrow and not." "Roman." Levi kept his voice steady. "Are you hurt?" "No." "Where are you?" "My office. Can I come?" A longer pause. "Levi, yes or no?" "Yes." Roman said. "Yes." Levi arrived at Roman's office building, a sleek tower in the business district that had Kale Group in small, clean letters on the wall at 2:30 in the morning. The security team on the ground floor looked at him, made a call, and let him through without question. Roman's office was on the top floor. He was standing by the window when Levi came in, still dressed, and he turned when Levi entered. He looked fine, physically fine, but there was something in his face, a tension that had not been there before, and when Levi crossed the room and stood in front of him and looked at him directly, Roman looked back with an expression that was not controlled. "I'm bringing danger to you," Roman said, flat and quiet. "I knew this would happen eventually." "You warned me," Levi said. "Warning you and it actually happening are different things." Levi reached out and took Roman's hand, just held it. Roman looked down at their joined hands. "I'm not running," Levi said. "You should." "I know I should. I'm not." Levi looked at him. "But you have to promise me something." Roman met his eyes. "No more not telling me things," Levi said. "When it involves me, when it touches my life, tell me. I can handle information. What I can't handle is being kept in the dark and finding out later." Roman looked at him for a long moment. "That's a big thing to promise in my position." "I know." Another moment. Then Roman's hand turned in Levi's and held back firmly, actually held back for the first time. "All right," he said. "Say it properly," Levi said. "I promise," Roman said. Levi nodded. He did not let go of Roman's hand. "Also," he said, "your office is very cold. Do you have a blanket anywhere?" Roman blinked. Then, for the second time since Levi had known him, he smiled, not the small almost smile, but a real one. Brief and unguarded. "I'll find one," he said. 6 weeks of being Roman's, and Levi thought he understood the shape of it. He did not understand the shape of it. It started with a man named Elliot Voss. Levi was at a design industry event, a mix and mingle thing that his client had invited him to, when a man approached him near the bar. Mid-30s, well-dressed, friendly smile that did not reach his eyes. "You must be Levi Shan," the man said. Levi looked at him. I am and you are, Elliot Voss. He said it like the name should mean something. It didn't, not yet. I've been wanting to speak to you. About design work, about your companion, Elliot said, Roman Kale. Levi's expression did not change. He had learned in these weeks to be careful. I don't discuss my personal life at professional events. Of course, Elliot smiled. I'll be brief. I think you deserve to know that Roman and I have history. Business history, and that he is not as reformed as he probably seems to you. Levi looked at him. Are you threatening me or warning me? Because someone did this once before and it didn't work. Elliot's smile thinned. I'm doing neither. I'm giving you context. He leaned slightly closer. Ask him about the Voss deal 3 years ago. Ask him what happened to my brother. He walked away. Levi stood very still with his drink in his hand. He texted Roman that night. Someone named Elliot Voss approached me. He mentioned a deal 3 years ago and something about his brother. You said you'd tell me things. Roman's reply came in under 2 minutes. Are you home? Yes, I'm coming. Roman sat across from Levi at his kitchen table and told him about Elliot Voss. 3 years ago, the Voss family had been trying to expand into territory that the Kale organization controlled. It had turned into a standoff that became dangerous. Roman's team had handled the situation, and Elliot's younger brother, who had been involved in the operation, had been arrested. He was still serving time. Roman had not been the one who called the police, but he had not prevented it either. Elliot has wanted to get back at me since then, Roman said. Getting close to you is a way to do that. Levi listened to all of it. Then he asked, did his brother deserve what happened? Roman was quiet for a moment. He made choices that led there. That's not a full answer. No, Roman said, it isn't. What I can tell you is that I did not target him. What happened was a consequence of a situation that escalated beyond what I wanted. He looked at Levi steadily. I'm not going to tell you my hands are completely clean. You already know they're not. Levi looked at the table. I know. Are you? Roman stopped, which was unusual. Roman did not usually stop mid-sentence. Levi looked up. Roman was looking at him with that almost open expression, the one that appeared rarely when the control slipped just a little. Are you regretting this? He asked. Levi thought about it, genuinely thought about it. No, he said. But I need to know, are you trying to get out, actually trying? Yes, Roman said, no hesitation. I have been for 3 years. It's slow, it's complicated, but yes. Levi nodded slowly. He reached across the table and tapped Roman's hand once, not holding, just a touch. Then keep going, he said, and keep telling me things. Roman looked at the tap, then at Levi. You're very strange, he said. You like strange, Levi said. I interest you, Roman's mouth moved. Yes, he said, you do. But Elliot Voss was not finished. 2 days later, Levi's apartment building fire alarm went off at 6 in the morning. Everyone evacuated. Standing in the street in his jacket over pajamas, Levi's phone buzzed. Unknown number, a photo, his own front door, below it. Tell Kale to back off the Seaport deal, or next time it won't be a false alarm. Levi forwarded it to Roman immediately. Roman's reply was 3 words. Don't go back up. Then a call, I'm 10 minutes away, are you okay? I'm fine, standing on the street in my pajamas, but fine. I'm sorry, Roman said, and it was the first time Levi had heard those 2 words from him. And the way he said them, quiet and genuine and just a little rough, hit differently than Levi expected. It's okay, Levi said. It's not, Roman said, but I will fix it. When Roman arrived, he stepped out of the car and walked straight to Levi. He did not look at anyone else or check the building. He looked at Levi, put one hand on his shoulder and said, You're sure you're not hurt? I'm sure, Roman nodded. His hand on Levi's shoulder stayed there one extra second before dropping. They stood side by side and watched the fire department confirm there was nothing. False alarm, just as Voss had said. He's escalating, one of Roman's men said quietly. I know, Roman said. We should move Levi somewhere. I'm standing right here, Levi said mildly. Roman looked at him. A few days somewhere else, just until this is handled, not a cage, just safer. Where? My place, you've been there. Levi considered this. This is moving fast, I know. Do I get my own room? Roman blinked. Of course. Then fine, Levi said, but I'm bringing my work laptop. He had his own room at Roman's place. He barely used it. Not for any dramatic reason, just that Roman's apartment had better coffee, and the main room was warmer, and somehow they ended up working in the same space naturally, Levi with his laptop on the long couch and Roman at his desk. By the second morning it felt completely natural, in a way that probably should have been alarming but was just quiet, good. The Voss situation moved fast. Roman had people who handled things. Levi did not ask specifics, but 3 days after the fire alarm, Roman told him plainly, Elliot Voss has agreed to stand down. He won't bother you again. How? Levi asked. Information, Roman said. He has things he cannot afford to have known. We made that clear, Levi processed this. No one was hurt, no. Okay, Levi said then. That's actually the least violent resolution I could have hoped for. Roman looked at him. Did you expect worse? I didn't know what to expect, Levi said. But I'm glad it wasn't worse. Roman was quiet for a moment. I don't want to be the person who hurts people if I can avoid it, he said. It was not an excuse, just a statement of direction. I'm working toward a version of this that doesn't require that. I know, Levi said. I believe you. Roman looked at him. Something in his face shifted. The guard went down all the way, in a way Levi had only seen glimpses of before. I need to tell you something, Roman said. Levi turned to face him fully. When you grabbed my arm in the mall, Roman said slowly, I was having the worst week I'd had in 2 years. Something had gone wrong with the Seaport project. I had not slept properly. I was at that mall for a completely pointless errand that my assistant sent me on because she thought I needed fresh air. He looked at Levi steadily, and then this person just grabbed my arm and looked up at me. And was not afraid. Levi was quiet. I have spent years being the person that people fear or respect or need something from, Roman said. You looked at me like I was just a person, someone who could help with something small. And then you said thank you and tried to give back a handkerchief. The handkerchief thing, Levi said softly. I found you interesting, Roman said. That was what I said. But what I meant was that you reminded me that there were still things that were just, normal, small, real. His voice was completely even, but his eyes were open in a way they almost never were. You made me want something that was just mine. Not connected to any of this, Levi felt the warmth of it move through his whole chest. Roman, he said, yes, you know I grabbed your arm completely by accident, right? I genuinely just needed to hide from my ex. Roman looked at him. I know. Just making sure we have the full picture. We have the full picture, Roman said. Levi smiled. Then he moved closer on the couch, just a few inches, shoulder to shoulder with Roman, and leaned his head against him. Roman went still for a moment, then he settled. His arm moved around Levi's shoulders and stayed there. They sat like that in the quiet apartment, city humming outside. I'm going home tomorrow, Levi said. My own apartment. Voss is handled. Yes. Roman said, but I want Sunday mornings to keep happening. They will, Roman said, and the cafe Tuesdays. Yes, and the Fridays. Yes. Levi looked up at him. Roman looked down, very close, and I want to actually meet your people properly. Levi said, not the bodyguards, the ones that matter to you. I want to know your world, Roman, not all of it, just the parts that are you. Roman looked at him for a long moment. There's my assistant, Mara. She's been with me for 4 years. She'll probably like you immediately, and it will be embarrassing. Levi grinned. I look forward to it. And my cousin Jules, he's the only family I speak to regularly. He's going to ask you many questions. I like questions, I know. Roman said quietly, that's one of the things about you. The space between them had gotten smaller without either of them deciding it had. Levi looked at Roman's face, the jaw, the dark eyes. The mouth that smiled so rarely and so completely when it did, and thought about a mall and a handkerchief and a cup of coffee and all the small, strange things that had brought him here. Hi, he said softly, for no particular reason. Hi. Roman said back, and then slowly Roman leaned down and Levi leaned up, and when they finally kissed it was quiet and careful and completely real, not a beginning, because they had begun weeks ago without saying so. It was a confirmation. A period at the end of a very long sentence that had been waiting to be finished. When they pulled back, Levi's head stayed tilted up toward Roman, and Roman's forehead came down to rest against his. You grabbed the wrong stranger, Roman said. Best accident of my life, Levi said. Outside, the city moved and breathed and rushed, as it always did. Inside, in the warm quiet of an apartment that was becoming familiar, two people stayed exactly where they were. No rushing, no fear, just this.